Friday Night Smackdown is done, and we are mere hours away from Saturday night's main event. I'm really looking forward to the show tonight. It should be a great one, but I asked you yesterday to submit any hot takes, thoughts, concerns, or whatever else you had on the Friday Night Smackdown show, and you guys had a lot to say. But if you would like to submit your takes in the future, make sure you go follow me over on X at Conman167 and look for those tweets every single week after Monday Night Raw and Friday Night Smackdown. But let's get right into it. The very first one we have here today is from D. Porticus. I think I'm saying your name right. If I am saying it wrong, I'm very sorry. You got great content, my brother. He says, Kevin Owens t-shirts are one of the funniest heel gimmicks in wrestling. It's so true, though. Kevin Owens, every single time he comes down to the ring, is rocking somebody else's t-shirt, and he's always trolling. He's always looking to play a couple mind games with his opponents by wearing the t-shirt of somebody close to them. I also love it that Kevin Owens just doesn't give a crap about merch money. It almost plays into his character as a whole, where he's like, I don't care, man. You guys can have all your merch that you want. I'm just going to wear the shirts that I want. It's something that we really haven't seen from wrestlers in the past. Like, obviously, we've seen wrestlers wear each other's shirts and all that when they're slightly affiliated, but this is a trolling move from Kevin Owens. Every single time he rocks a t-shirt with somebody else's name on it, there is a subliminal message. There is a reason why he's doing it, and he's doing it to get deep inside your brain and try to get one up on you. I just want to know how Kevin Owens gets the shirts, though, every single week. Does he just go to the local merch stand and says, which shirt could I wear today? Or does he actually order them from WWEshop.com? Like, I don't know if they comp t-shirts in WWE or not. I imagine they do, but if they didn't, then Kevin Owens, can you imagine what his shipping cost would be? Or maybe not shipping cost, what his actual cost of the shirts would be? Like, is he dropping the $50, $40 every single week to get that shirt to his front door? The new releases, the ones day of? Dude, if Kevin Owens is dropping money on t-shirts like this, then he'd be rich. Granted, we have seen his car before, though, and it's pretty damn nice. When they went from the Charlotte video package transitioning to Tiffany's entrance, they are already starting to hint at the match happening at Mania this year. Also, I love Charlotte is returning at the Rumble. However, I wish they kept it a secret from everyone. This seems to be the main issue right now with wrestling fans with the Royal Rumble, is that there's not a lot of surprises happening, and the ones that they were expecting to be a surprise are being revealed ahead of time. Charlotte Flair being announced to return to WWE was one thing, but then giving away the fact that it's happening at the Royal Rumble has not made the fans that happy with it, and it's understandable, right? Like, if you think about the best parts of the Royal Rumble, it's not knowing who is going to enter next. And right now what we're doing is we're confirming a lot of people are going to be in this Rumble, both on the men's side and the women's side. If you add in somebody who is hyped up to return and you're already building them up, we assume it's going to happen at the Royal Rumble, but we don't know, right? Now we know Charlotte Flair is going to be at the Rumble, and hearing that is exciting, but it's also not as exciting as seeing Charlotte Flair return and be like, oh, she is back, right? Like, that is probably the best part of watching pro wrestling, is you don't know what's going to happen, and when it does happen, you react to it, and it's damn fun. It's entertaining. It's literally why we watch this sport, and one of the main reasons that we watch the sport as well is for the return. So I completely understand why people don't like this move. Now, I will say this, all right? Bootlicker Khan over here is gonna praise WWE. They knew that Charlotte Flair is going to be a big name, and announcing her for the Royal Rumble is a big enough deal. What I hope they are doing is they're kind of throwing us off. They don't want us to believe that Charlotte Flair is the big return or the big pop moment of the Rumble, right? They're giving away Charlotte Flair. I wonder if that means that we're going to see, like, Becky Lynch return. I wonder if that means maybe we see Alexa Bliss. I know that there's been some interesting talks going on, and apparently some deals have fallen through or whatever, but, like, maybe Alexa Bliss does show up. Maybe there's somebody else who returns to the Rumble. Hell, I'd love to see Trish Stratus show up or something like that, just for another one-off or a little mini run. I don't know if Trish is done or not, but I would love to see it. It's just one of those things, man. I understand why people don't love this. I would personally prefer for it to be a surprise. If we heard Charlotte Flair's music hit and she came on out and it was a surprise, it'd be very, very good. I think people would react in a strong way, but maybe it's because they don't want that reaction. Maybe WWE is looking for more of a heel Charlotte Flair, and they're like, hey, if we get that big pop at the Rumble, people are going to be cheering her. Maybe we want to find a way to make them boo her. Jimmy should have won against Kevin Owens, in my opinion. See, I'm all here for pushing Jimmy Uso and trying to make Jimmy Uso a bigger star in 2025. In fact, he should probably go after a mid-card title like the United States Championship sooner rather than later. It could even be his direction for WrestleMania if they wanted to. But Jimmy winning against Kevin Owens right now, where we're at in the story when Kevin Owens has a WWE Championship match coming up against Cody Rhodes at the Royal Rumble, is not necessary whatsoever. Jimmy Uso is not on a higher level than Kevin Owens is. Kevin Owens is one of the top acts in WWE right now, and having him lose to Jimmy Uso, well, it would have done wonders for Jimmy. It would have had the complete opposite effect for Kevin Owens. I don't think Jimmy Uso is any worse off after taking an L to Kevin Owens, but Kevin Owens certainly would have been worse for wear after losing to Jimmy Uso going into a WWE Championship match. This, to me, was the right call. I think they made the right decision highlighting Jimmy Uso. They're giving him lots of time behind the scenes, with the backstage promos and the no yeet thing that he's got going on. Seems like they're cooking up a feud between him and Mello right now, which is going to be really good for both of them. All in all, I don't have issues with Jimmy Uso taking the L on SmackDown. Just as we move forward, the goal needs to be to elevate Jimmy Uso, right? The Bloodline story is elevated Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, the only people who really haven't been truly elevated. And even me saying this out loud, they have been elevated. Tama Tonga Loa were tag team champions. And then also, if you start looking at Jimmy Uso, he's like the guy who has not been elevated since the Bloodline went their separate ways, since there was Bloodline 2.0 and 1.0. There was no progression for Jimmy. He lost to his brother at WrestleMania. He's been injured. He's been a side character and a lot of this stuff going on. So this year, Jimmy Uso needs to see some sort of gold. United States title, anybody? I think Jimmy needs it. I'm so glad the tag titles are finally getting a proper storyline and an opportunity back on a PLE. Not to mention DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns will be a banger. This makes me look forward to the Royal Rumble even more. Yes, finally, the tag team titles are going to be defended on a PLE once again. My God, how long has it been since WWE had those tag team titles defended on a PLE? I honestly couldn't tell you the last time it happened. I might be wrong. Is it like just after WrestleMania? Like, did they have it at Backlash? I feel like we had a tag title match at Backlash, did we not? But even then, I can't remember. Was it WrestleMania? Did they defend it at SummerSlam? You see what I mean? I cannot remember the last story even that was on a PLE for the tag team titles, let alone the last time they were defended, man. This is huge, seeing Motor City Machine Guns and DIY fight each other in a 2 out of 3 falls match at the Rumble. First and foremost, the match is gonna cook. The match is gonna be so damn good. I mean, we're talking about one of the greatest tag teams of all time in Motor City Machine Guns, and honestly, one of the more underrated tag teams of all time in DIY. I've seen so many great things from DIY in their history as a tag team together, and that match against the Revival at NXT TakeOver Toronto in 2016 was incredible. It was a 2 out of 3 falls match as well, and it really made DIY become the tag team that they were at the time. And honestly, it built them into the tag team that they are here today. This has the possibility to beat that. It has the possibility to be better than DIY versus Revival, my personal favorite tag team match of all time. Granted, I'm a little biased because I was there in person, but still, it was an incredible match, and I think this one could be better. The Royal Rumble is going to absolutely cook with the addition of this match, and seeing Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa defend tag team title gold at the Rumble is so awesome to see, man. For a while there, we weren't sure if Gargano and Ciampa were going to be successful on the main roster. It felt like they were just going to be floundering for a while, but this new heel turn that they've underwent has been so beneficial to their careers, their characters, everything. I love this match. Can't wait for it. It's going to be such a banger. I'm down for Priest versus Rhodes potentially after Mania, but I could totally see WWE putting the United States title on Damian. All right, this is a two-parter right here. First and foremost, Rhodes versus Priest after WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. I'm interested. I think that could be good. I don't know if a babyface versus babyface thing would work out, but also at the same time, we could maybe transition Cody Rhodes into a bit of a darker character, or we could transition Damian Priest into a bit of a darker character. Either or would work technically, and I mean, let's face it, after Friday Night Smackdown, what we saw from Cody Rhodes, it seems like maybe over the last few months, Cody has been just speaking a little bit more heelish. He's starting to crack a little bit under the pressure. It's almost like he really is Homelander, right? He's got this facade on right now, but when he said in his promo that he's trying to be a good guy, That tells me that behind the scenes, he ain't a good guy, and maybe he's going to snap someday. But also, Priest versus Rhodes, I think the matchup itself would be damn entertaining, and if they have the right story going into that, I'm here for it. Now, the second part of your question here, or your hot take, I guess, is the United States title going on to Damian Priest. Could Damian Priest become the United States champion? Yeah, he could be. I think that there's better options to help build new stars for the future in the mid-card already who probably need a title run like that. Immediately coming to mind, we talked about Jimmy Uso. Andrade would be a great option to see. Carmelo Hayes needs a run with that championship at some point. Those are right off the top of my head, and there's probably a bunch of other people there who could go after that championship. Man, like Jacob Fatu could use a title. Braun Strowman would be entertaining as United States champion. There's a lot that we could do with that title. So, yeah, Damian being U.S. champion, we'd get some good matches out of it, and at least it would be something for him to do and continue to build up his character. So, I don't hate it. I don't hate that idea. I really don't understand where they are going with LA Knight. I hate that because it feels like he's being punished for something the way he is being booked. The booking of LA Knight lately has been a little strange. After losing the United States Championship, it felt like there was two directions for LA Knight to go. Up the card or down. And, well, I wouldn't necessarily say he's dropped down the card. He certainly hasn't been elevated. It does feel like LA Knight is kind of a forgotten aspect of the show where they send him out there because you know he's going to get a good reaction from the crowd, but they certainly cooled off the jets with his push. Like, if we look at where he was going into WrestleMania this year, or I guess 2024, versus where he's at now, it feels like night and day. And I hate to say it, but the United States Championship run from LA Knight did nothing. Absolutely nothing for him, man. It maybe got him a championship run and got him some matches, but like that best of 7 series between Melo and Andrade is the most memorable part of his entire United States Championship run, and he wasn't even in the damn matches. Like, it's unfortunate to say, but LA Knight's stock has dropped tremendously in the eyes of the fans. He's not the hottest act on any given show getting the biggest pops anymore. Could he maybe get a big pop? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people still react to him, but people are not emotionally invested in LA Knight the way they were a year and a half ago, and that sucks to say because I thought we were truly about to see the breakthrough and the breakout of a megastar, not just another guy on the roster, and that's what he feels like right now. I don't know what it would take from LA Knight to get him back to that level. I hate to say it, it might be a heel turn. We might have to turn LA Knight heel in order to get that momentum back with him. Plus, his character isn't necessarily a good guy, right? People want to like him because he goes against the grain, but as a babyface, he ain't really going against the grain. So let's turn him back heel if we're done with him at this spot. If we don't see any progression forward for LA Knight, then what are we doing here? Unless their merch sales are like really, really high still, in which case I understand why they wouldn't want to turn him back to being a heel, or why LA Knight wouldn't want to turn back to being a heel. But if the merch sales have dropped quite a bit, there's a way that we can make the megastar a true megastar once again. SmackDown doesn't have the star power to run a 3-hour show. The only good thing about SmackDown is the tag division. Okay, well, let's start there. I have to disagree with that because I think there is a lot of great talent on Friday Night SmackDown right now. Women's division is cooking. The main event scene is cooking with Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. Granted, they have just been fighting a lot. The brawls have been a little stretched out, so I understand maybe why you're not as invested in that. But the program itself has been excellent. I love the GM right now with Nick Aldis and the way that he's managing his show. And there's an interesting idea that there's a lot of new superstars coming into SmackDown to help bolster this card, right? Right now, I do have to agree that roster doesn't feel deep enough to run a 3-hour show, but that's changing every single week. We're seeing more stars come on over here to freshen up Friday Night SmackDown and make it feel like a bit of a better show. We've seen the addition of Miz now, but we're also losing some people from Friday Night SmackDown. We've got the Wyatts coming on over, which I think is going to be a huge aspect of Friday Night SmackDown moving forward. Like, it has to be, right? They have 3 hours of TV to fill, and you have the Wyatts 6 on your show. show. There is so much possibility for like backstage vignettes, promos, creepy VHS segments, more further explanation into who the Wyatts actually are. There's a lot of stuff that could go right with SmackDown moving forward into the future, and I'm not concerned at all about the 3-hour runtime. In my opinion, I still think the 3 hours have been filled pretty well. Has there been some matches getting more time than we're used to? Yeah. Is that a bad thing? No, because more people are getting more in-ring time, that's a good thing, man, for everybody involved. Just the idea, though, of this being too much, right? 3 hours being too much. Even Monday Night Raw right now is a 2.5-hour show the last couple of weeks, right? And that was been pretty good. So I understand that extra half hour is very, very difficult to fill. And I also feel like when WWE was running 3-hour Monday Night Raws, we would always have like this hour of dead time from like 9:30 till 10:30. I think SmackDown is going through the same type of issues where that 9:30 to 10:30 slot really has to be bolstered and you have to add some extra story to it. But with the addition of the Wyatts on SmackDown, that's probably where they're going to fill that time. I have no issues with this show right now. I think they're going to continue to improve and get better and figure out how to pace SmackDown. And if they don't, well then, you are right there. Rock versus Roman needs to be tied into the Bloodline. Ending the Bloodline's 5-year story on Raw and Netflix when Solo never showed main character energy is a slap in the face to the cinematic story. Yeah, I don't think we're done with Rock and Roman yet, and I don't think we're done with the Bloodline story. Let's face it, the Bloodline story has been carrying WWE for the better part of how many years since the pandemic? Like 5 years, man. 5 years. It's crazy to say. The Bloodline story did reach an anticlimactic ending with Roman versus Solo. Roman got the Ula Fala back, but it wasn't at a PLE, and it was the first match of the night. So by the time the end of the show rolled around, we weren't even really talking about it anymore. It is kind of like not a slap in the face to fans who followed the Bloodline story, but it doesn't feel like it's the big ending that story deserved for being as good as it was. And I don't think that it was actually the end. I imagine Rock will come back at some point, and I imagine they will rehash and get back into the story of Rock versus Roman. It does feel like Roman is maybe not going to be facing Rock at Mania this year. He could have other stuff going on, and it feels like this story between Rock and Roman is going to continue on into next year. Like I'm personally thinking Rock Roman is going to be WrestleMania 42's main event. I think that's going to be either night 1 or night 2, the main event. Roman versus Rock, head of the table on the line, Bloodline rules or tribal combat or whatever you want to call it. That to me seems like the direction we're going, because I think if we're looking at how we get there, Cody and Rock, I think, is going to be at SummerSlam this year. And I think that's when we see The Rock come back in a big way. Or, for all I know, it could be Roman Rock at SummerSlam this year, and we could build to Rock versus Cody at WrestleMania 42 if they want to keep the title on Cody that long, which, by the way, at this point, it might happen, man. I don't know who's taking that title off of Cody Rhodes. Unless it's Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble, which I guess there's a possibility. But yeah, getting back to the Bloodline story, we need to see the proper ending, and we need to see Rock versus Roman. That has to happen. They overdid it in the women's segment. I was really excited we could see Tiffany and Rhea versus Nia and Candice. Then they overdid it with Bianca and Naomi, Liv and Raquel, and made it a 6-woman tag match. Too much, in my opinion. It does certainly feel like WWE said, oh crap, we haven't really built to the Women's Royal Rumble. We have to do that now. And they decided to do it all in one segment on Friday Night SmackDown. This wasn't a bad idea to put everybody out there and make the Women's Rumble feel like a bigger deal, but it also probably should have been started, a couple weeks ago. As soon as we started building to the Men's Rumble, we should have been building to the Women's Rumble, and it didn't really feel like we were doing that. And here we are now, a week out. We're like, oh my God, break the glass, hit the panic button, send everybody out there and say you're in the Rumble. I mean, here's the thing though, it's happened tons of times in the men's division, and it's going to continue to happen tons of times moving forward. It literally is the easiest way to build to a multi-person match, is just to send everybody out there and say, all right, talk about the match and get people excited. That happens all the time, and so I'm not upset that this happened. I just feel like WWE needs to pay more attention to the fact that they have these big multi-women matches coming up, and they have to build to them just as much as they have to build to the men's multi-man match, right? If you don't do the proper build, people won't care as much, and that has been a problem in the history of WWE, not putting enough time and effort into the women's division, and then wondering and scratching your head why people don't care about it as much. When you put time and effort into the women's division, people people care. Look at the reaction to Tiffany Stratton winning the women's championship. It was time and effort and a proper build that went into getting that reaction. So if WWE wants a strong reaction from the Royal Rumble, they have to do a lot of building on Monday, and they have to do a lot of, honestly, actually, tonight at Saturday night's main event, they got to do some building. They have to do some building on Monday Night Raw. They have to even maybe do a little building on Tuesday night NXT in the women's division. Maybe tease the idea that there's going to be a few NXT women's superstars in the Royal Rumble. And of course, next week on Friday Night Smackdown, you have to do more building. I like the direction. I think we're going to be all right, and I think the Women's Rumble is going to crush it, and it's going to be probably, if not the most entertaining aspect of the show, it'll be probably the most surprising aspect of the show. Do the proper build, though. Don't leave the women behind. Now, this is just something I want to quickly touch on. You would actually enjoy the show more if you wouldn't spend 70% of it on your phone. And what he's talking about is when I'm uploading my reaction clips from watching Monday Night Raw, Friday Night Smackdown, PLE, NXT, you name it, I do have to look down at my phone in order to upload the clips to TikTok and Instagram and all of that. And it sucks, man. I understand it from a viewer's perspective. Half the time you come in and I'm down here like this. But I assure you, if there was any quicker way for me to do it, I would. The only other way that I can think of is doing something on my PC, but let's be frank, my 2017 PC isn't really strong enough to both run OBS, all the extra programs I have going on, and an editing software. It just simply cannot do it, so I have to do it on my phone, and it is what it is. I will try to be better and timing it. It's been something I've really been working on, trying to time when I'm uploading the clips and still interacting with the chat, but I will continue to get better. I know it's an issue, and I know it needs to be improved on. But that's it for hot takes. Make sure you let me know any other hot takes that you have regarding WWE, SmackDown, Raw, NXT, or a PLE in the comment section below. And also, while you're down there, if you enjoyed this vid, make sure you leave a like on this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications as I upload wrestling videos every single day. You don't want to miss them. We'll be back tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Join us for Saturday night's main event. Till then, we'll see you later, I guess. My outros suck, all right? I need a better outro. How about I just say, bye? Okay, what am I doing?